Hey everyone! I am Sonia Thomes, creator of OrchestraCareers.com, and here for a live chat. We've got a special guest today, and I'm so excited that we get to share her story with you. But one of the reasons I started this channel was to spread awareness of all careers with orchestras on and off the stage. And more recently on our website, you can check out our blog. We've been featuring some of the professionals I know who are committed to the work of orchestras. And one of those first people that we featured on our blog is Karina Bharne. She is the executive director of Symphony Tacoma. And I've known Karina for a long time, basically my entire career. And so we're going to bring her on. One of the reasons I want to bring her on is not to give the story of her background, because you can read about that on the blog, but we are living in an interesting time right now, and it is affecting orchestras in a really drastic way. But we can all learn from each other's experiences. So I'm going to bring on Karina, if I can work here. Let's see if we can wait for Karina to join us and give her a big welcome. There she is.
Am I sideways, Sonia?
You are sideways.
Okay, let me just move this around then. Sorry about that. I did test drive it out beforehand and it seemed to work.
It's okay. Hey, we're all learning new things in this challenging time. So excited that you could join us today. I am here in Nashville and enjoying blue skies. I was wondering how the Pacific Northwest is doing these days.
Well, sorry, that is my cat sneezing. We had been doing well for the past month, but today the rain did decide to come back. But other than that, it's been in the 60s. It's been beautiful, and it's been great weather for walking around and being outside if you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. My dog has enjoyed lots and lots of walks, which has been great. So I wanted to dive right in. I just reminded people that they can go to our website, OrchestraCareers.com, to learn about your background and your journey on your career. But I wanted to get together today for a chat with you, because we are obviously living through a very interesting time, and I will learn from each other's experiences. But I was just remembering that today is only April 18th. Yeah. And so that means it was only about a month ago, that, which seems like 3 years ago, that we started having to cancel concerts and deal with this COVID-19 crisis. So I was wondering, when exactly did it start for you in Tacoma? Because I feel like we were watching it start to creep in on the Pacific Northwest before we really had to deal with it.
We had our first cases in Pierce County. That's a county that we're in at the beginning of March. It was actually one day before we had our now final children's concert, our mini maestros, where we were demonstrating percussion. And that was when the first case happened. Everything happened pretty quickly after that, where we had, shelter-in-place orders within the following week from our governor. Right now, Pierce County and basically the state of Washington is under the stay home, stay healthy effect until May 4th. So that's about 3 weeks away. The governor did tell us, there was a press conference earlier this week that said, someone asked the question, is it likely to be extended? And he said, it's unlikely that we would be completely reopened on May 4th, which is what I think everyone is thinking. But as to when large gatherings can happen again, no one knows. So we're just taking it one day at a time.
Whew. Yeah, that is a big question mark. We all hope that sooner rather than later, we will be able to get back making concerts, making music happen again. But for now, I'm just curious a little bit more about the decisions that you as the executive director had to start making when all of that was starting to unfold.
Well, in a way, it was easy for me because we had these directives in place. So we knew right off the bat that some of our concerts couldn't happen, and we knew the reason why. I think what became really difficult was that no one had planned for this. So there were simple things like, who is going to get the mail, who is going to deposit checks into our accounts, what are we going to do about how do we refund tickets, how do we get donations, how just do normal business operations keep going while we're all working from home. So I was really fortunate that my team really was able to step up. We made a list of everything that we had to figure out. We had to determine whether or not we still needed to pay for parking. And we just made a list, and we were able to keep, well, for now, we've been able to keep going with just one person going into the office. That's me, depositing checks, making sure that we still get our mail. But it was not a situation that any of us had planned for, and that made it really difficult. But I can't say that most businesses would have a plan in place for if you're not allowed to come into the office. So it's definitely something that we now have, that we're lucky to have.
Yeah, yes. I mean, this is just, I was thinking about how in my entire life, I've never comprehended that there wouldn't be able to be concerts. And the other thing too that we've had to do is just transition to all online platforms and remote working. How was that adjustment for your staff? Because you have a staff of about 7 full-time, or how many staff do you have?
Yeah, we have 8 people on staff total. A couple are part-time and a couple are project. And I'm going to answer that question, but I'm just going to turn my music stand around really quickly because I don't want to be holding up my iPad the entire rest of this call. So just hold on for 1 second.
Oh, sure, of course.
There we go. Okay.
We're all used to seeing each other virtually now, and I kind of forgot what the adjustment really was like.
Okay, so now I'm back. Thank you. Thank you for that. My arm was, I wasn't sure how much longer I could go on for that for. It's been an adjustment. You know, for me, having worked in personnel for many orchestras, I was used to working from home. So I'm used to having, you know, my computer set up. I can answer emails as I like. I can shut down my computer as I like. And I also, for me, I liked the ability of being able to pick and choose when I was going to work. And I always, having worked in personnel and operations, I always worked after 5, before 9. So I didn't really have those set hours. So I think for me, it's been an easier adjustment. For other members of staff, finding that balance is really difficult. And it's not to say that I have found the perfect balance, because I don't think that I have. But I think, you know, just being able to get into any type of routine right now is just, it's hard. You know, gyms are closed. You can't go out. Sometimes you need a mask, sometimes you don't. You can't go grocery shopping. You can't do all the things that you normally would do. So I think it's been an adjustment. For us, we've been able to use Cisco WebEx to do all of our staff meetings. So that's been great. It's been really nice seeing everyone's faces. And every morning, someone from staff will send an email around to our group in another language saying good morning, which is funny to me, probably funny to us. But it's just a reminder that we're all here together, and we're all, you know, we're all really in this together. I do think, though, the decisions that we've had to make in terms of our concerts and in terms of a lot of what we're doing during this crisis have been really interesting. And one of the jobs as of the executive director is to take a look and figure out what's best for the organization as a whole. So you have to keep in mind that, I mean, on one hand, from a financial perspective, X decision might be best. From a you know, marketing perspective, another decision might be best. From an artistic perspective, another decision might be best. So one of the challenges that I have in my role is figuring out what decision is best for Symphony Tacoma. And a lot of times it's not what's best for individuals, but it's what's best for the collective. So that's been a challenge for me.
Wow. Well, thank you for keeping a clear head in all of that. I mean, I can't imagine having to drive the entire organization, but I know you've got a great organization around you. And of course, that involves the support of the community. So I know we've all been trying to engage our communities throughout this as orchestras. How has the shutdown of concert activity affected your relationship with your community?
Well, I think Sonia will disagree with me, and I know you will, but I really think that I have the best patrons, we have the best staff, and we have the best musicians and the best board. And I think our music director is watching this too. We definitely have the best music director. It's been you know, in a time when you have 2 decisions, you can either rise and fight, or you can kind of crumble. We've chosen to just stay strong and work together. And It's been, it's been difficult, and we definitely have our differences of opinions, but we're all on the same page. And it was nice to be reminded by my finance manager, Denise, that the goal for us is to make sure that Symphony Tacoma succeeds, and the path that we choose, we can all disagree on, but that's really the main goal. So that has been the driving force for me. What decisions do I need to make, and what decisions does the organization need to make sure that we are successful in the future? So we did something that I'm sure that everyone, all orchestras have done, but we called all of our patrons, we called all of our subscribers, and just checking in. And it was really refreshing on some of those phone calls when I said, hey, I just want to check in, see how you're doing. And they said, wait a second, how are you doing? This must be really, really difficult for you. So the humanity here in Tacoma and in Pierce County has been incredible. So I feel incredibly supported.
I think that's the best word to describe the environment that we are in as a society, is that we are seeing each other's humanity in this. We're seeing each other's living rooms. I realized this morning that like half of my house is presentable, and the other half is where everything is. And it was kind of funny when I realized that there was a distinct dividing line between the two. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like we are seeing each other's humanity. And in that, I feel like there's this, also I'm recognizing my own craving for the connection and collaboration in person and being together and hearing live music again. But it sounds like you're very proud of your organization, but is there something in particular that you've been really proud of in these last few weeks that your organization has accomplished together?
We have had all hands on deck, and it doesn't matter what role anyone was in. Doesn't matter if you're doing, operations, or you're doing marketing, if you're doing finance, if you're doing, development or patron services. Everyone has been able to be, okay, what do we need to do? And I'm just going to do it. And it may not be what my job is, and I might not like talking on the phone. But I'm going to do it because it's what's best for the organization. And I love that when teams are able to come together like that. We've had everyone making calls, and everyone just trying to share our story. Symphony Tacoma has had to adapt like every other organization. Our online presence was really pretty much strictly, we would do promotional videos on Facebook. We have started our own Facebook Live series every Saturday at 7:30 that our music director, Sarah, hosts. Cool. So that's been great for us to do. And, we're also just taking a look to the future. The thing for me, though, that becomes really important is whatever we put out there, although I am not a good example of this today because of my screen, I want to make sure it's really of high quality, and I want to make sure that the quality that we have when we're performing on stage is equally matched with anything that we put out on social media. So that's been it's been a challenge, and it's crazy how many times you can record things and I'm just going to do one more take because I'm a perfectionist, and we're all musicians, so we get it. But it's been fun to see how many takes you can get of of a 30-second clip.
Well, I would just commend you. I mean, that the ability for your organization to really rise to the challenge is a testament to the foundation that I think you have already, and the core values that you probably have already instilled. Because I think it also has occurred to me that in this crisis, and in any crisis, the foundation that you've built is what is really going to shine. And so kudos to you and Symphony Tacoma for already have laid that foundation, whether you realize that this is how it was going to be used or not. That is awesome. So I've also been thinking a lot about what I've learned about myself in these last few weeks in this challenging time. But is there something that you've learned about yourself personally, professionally, or that you've been surprised by about yourself in having to live through this crisis?
I was reminded yesterday, I was on a call with someone, and they said to me pretty bluntly on the phone, we had been talking for probably about half an hour, and he said, you realize that this whole thing isn't your fault, right? And my reaction was, I just sighed for a minute, and I said, yes. And my response was, yes, I know this isn't my fault, but I also feel responsible for the organization. And that's difficult. And, you know, I'm sure I'm not the only person out there that feels that way. So it was being able to just even verbalize that, you know, of course, I don't know how the disease was started. Doesn't seem like anyone does, or different theories at least, but it's not your fault. But the only thing that you really can control is how you, what your actions are. So, you know, as a leader, yeah, I'm completely scared. I'm completely, you know, terrified, but you can't portray that because, you know, we have to come from a position of strength in order for us to succeed. So, you know, I've been able to have minor freakouts at home with my husband, and that's okay because he's been, you know, playing bass trombone music solo for the past month in my apartment. So I feel like we're even at this point. But it's really important just to have that self-care and just realize, you know, it's not your fault, and we just have to figure out how to move on.
Whew, yeah, I mean, as a leader too, I think one of the things that you didn't say, but I've been feeling is to remind ourselves we're not alone either in shouldering the burden of this. I mean, that's the extraordinary thing about this time that we're living in. This isn't a localized regional thing. This is a global crisis. So that is the way we're going to get through this, is keeping a level head and staying focused on the mission of our organizations, but also relying and delegating and as a leader, recognizing how we're actually going to accomplish this with everybody we have in our community and in our organizations. Okay, so you've been spending a lot of time at home, as we all have. Is there something that you've been able to do more of that you just realized, wow, I really enjoy doing that?
Well, I really like being outside. So I've been able to do walks when it has been nice and sunny. But, you know, my husband plays bass trombone with the Vancouver Symphony. So we are in a long distance marriage. But since we were able to be together, it's just been really nice. I mean, I know that my cats, I think they tolerate us being here, but just being able to be together as a family with all of them has just been really nice. And I also feel that I've had more people, just friends, stay in touch better. You know, families stay in touch better, and that's us. It's just nice. The other kind of silver lining that I've had is, you know, I'm relatively new to Symphony Tacoma. I've been on staff here since September of 2018, so a little over, I guess, 18 months at this point. And it's been great just talking to all of our patrons, and when there's no real agenda, it's just been great picking up the phone and just talking to people. And our patrons are hysterical. They're just lovely people, and they love the organization. So that's also for me been a silver lining.
You know, it strikes me that this humanity that we're experiencing and this kind of curiosity of each other's humanity, I wonder, I've been thinking too about how can we capture that and keep that forward when we do move back into being able to do concerts? And I feel like that is something I would love to figure out, how to capture this collaborative spirit, this unification that I feel in my own organization, and make sure that we protect that moving forward. Is there something else that you feel like your organization has taken on during this time that you definitely want to carry forward?
Well, we've had to find ways of adapting. You know, again, we can't have concerts in person, so we are trying to figure out what can we do, and really what does our audience like, and what will they want? You know, will they want streamed concerts? Will they want you know, more Facebook Lives or things like that? So for me, it's been really getting to the bottom of what, if we can't meet together and we can't gather together, what will satisfy our patrons in a fulfilling way. So I don't think we quite have the answer to that quite yet, but we're working on it. And of course, just I have to say this as executive director, from a purely financial perspective, it's the organization made a decision, and the board and staff made a decision many years ago to really prioritize having cash reserves. So you know, when you're in school and when you're learning about finance and everyone says have a rainy day fund, you don't really think that you'll ever really need it. At least I didn't. But now the importance of making sure that you have something just in case is important. And especially when you're working for nonprofits, it's even worse, because we are always living on the edge of a knife, I think is what the phrase is. And you know, today is that day. So making sure that we have our priorities in line, I think is a good reality check for us. But I really have to give kudos to all those who came before me and all those who have been working for the symphony for many years to make sure that we're in a good place.
Yeah, I say it takes a village to run an orchestra, and it takes kind of a whole history and you know, we're walking on the path that has been set before us because of the people that came before us. And so, yes, I'm very thankful for just everything, the foundation that all of us are building upon this experience and trying to navigate through this experience. And it sounds like you've got a great tradition of an amazing organization in Tacoma. So I have to ask, when we finally get to do concerts again, because that day will come, what are you looking forward to most?
I am looking forward to being able to greet all of our patrons in the lobby. And now I've spoken to every one of them probably 3 to 5 times on the phone. I've gotten to know them really well, and I just look forward to seeing people in person. And it probably comes across on this interview, but I'm definitely a people person. I like being in groups. I like meeting people. I like talking to people. You know, talking on the phone and doing Zoom calls only goes so far, but I just can't wait to greet people. And then on top of that, you know, I just can't wait to see Sarah back on the podium, you know, leading our musicians. What that looks like, we don't know, but it's always really inspiring to watch an incredible conductor, and it's even more inspiring to watch an incredible orchestra. So when we have those two together, it just makes me feel everything. So I'm looking forward to that the most.
Well, it sounds, the words family reunion came to mind. It feels like it's going to be a family reunion when we can all get back together, and we anxiously await that day when we can be back playing music together. Well, Karina, one of the reasons I also created this channel was to give students, music students like who you and I were many years ago, resources and connections to people in the field. And so I was just wondering if you have any closing words of encouragement for our music students who might be watching the headlines and seeing the news of their future careers.
Well, it's definitely a tough time to be in any field right now, but I feel that music degrees are so important because they teach you skills that you can't learn through anything else. So even if you choose not to go into music, and that could be your choice, and while I work in administration, I'm not a player. But the soft skills that, and I don't know why they call them soft skills, but being confident, working as a team, being able to adapt, those are all things that music teaches you. A couple weeks ago, I got a call to, it was 8:30 in the morning, and they needed someone to go on TV at 9. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. And it was all of my background in music that helped me get to that point. It was being able to sight read and being able to just appear confident, even though I didn't really feel that way. So I think even if you choose not to go into music, even if that's not your decision, all the skills that you're learning in music school, you can translate into any job that you have. So I'm so thankful that I have that degree, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Agreed. Yeah, my schooling is as an oboist, and you know, I think without immersing in an art form, you don't truly understand it. And although I've spent my career in operations and on the off the stage, I mean, there's no substitute for music, and especially if you want to train and be a music major, keep going, because we want orchestras in our communities beyond the COVID-19 crisis, and it's going to take all of us to keep supporting them.
And I just want to say one other thing. I know
Yeah.
Sonia mentioned this at the beginning, but she didn't quite say that she was actually my first supervisor when I was an intern at the Pittsburgh Symphony. So she's the first role model that I had, and it's gotten me really far. So I'm really thankful that Sonia is a friend and colleague.
Well, thank you. I still claim you as my intern and my rising star as executive director of Symphony Tacoma. I love to pour into students because I I feel very connected to where I was when I usually mention that I didn't even know my career existed until after grad school. So if there's anything that any of us can do for you students out there, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll make sure you can get in touch with Karina if you want to ask her follow-up questions. Yeah, but Karina, thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday morning and being here with us on this live chat.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. See you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.